Hello there again and welcome. Ryan Nordahl here, Epic Whitetail Habitat LLC. Well, we're getting into my favorite time of the hunting season. We're getting into the late season here. Now, fortunately, I was able to tag out during bow season on a great buck on November the 8th of this year. Exciting hunt. I knew that deer was in the area. We were overlooking a water hole on a very pinch point on a ridge top, and it worked out phenomenal. I was able to grunt him in, and he come in grunting back at me, and we put an arrow through him. He made us work for him after the shot. I put a really good shot on him, double lung shot, but when he run downhill, that downhill momentum, he went quite a ways, and the bounds he was taking, it was hit and miss with the blood, but we found him that evening. Probably within an hour and a half after the shot. Fortunately, we found him, and it's just the way it is. And that's the recap of that hunt. Short and sweet little recap. But anyway, for those of you that will be getting out during the late season here, I want to share 3 tips that I find help me to be more successful in the late season, especially as we start to get cold. And number 1 being, shoot your bow. If we're going out and bow hunting in the late season, I cannot stress enough shooting your bow, taking the time to put the clothes on or similar clothing that you'll be hunting with. I know we're about scent control. We don't really want to take our hunting clothes out of our scent control bags, boxes, totes, whatever we've got them in. I understand that. So you want to dress as close to a realistic late season cold weather hunting scenario as you possibly can. You know, I'll even go the extra mile to climb in a tree stand that I have placed in my yard and shoot from that tree stand as well. And that leads me to tree stands, ground blind, box stand, location, and everything else, hunting out of those locations. When it comes to late season, you know, foliage is pretty much gone here in the upper Midwest, and not a lot of concealment given to us by our surroundings. And boy, deer, they just kind of seem to pick off any slight movement that you may possibly have in your tree stand. I can recall a couple years ago hunting a big Boone and Crockett buck. He ended up being shot the previous year by a neighbor. He did go Boone and Crockett that year for sure, and it was a great hunt. But during the late season, when I was hunting him the season before he got shot, I had him coming in one evening. He was coming behind me, and I barely turned my head like that. He caught that movement, and away he went. He didn't blow out of there. It's just he caught that movement. He wasn't sure what it was. He took that extra stretch of precaution and got out of there, got out of Dodge. You know, so when it comes down to it, if I can get into a box blind or well-positioned ground blind that's totally concealed from the time I enter the woods to the time I get to that location, and from the time it gets dark into shooting hours, and I can get out of there without being detected as well, I'm going to choose a ground blind or a box blind just for the concealment. Now, I can get into areas, and I suggest if you got to hunt out of a tree stand, to try to find areas located between food and bedding within a conifer stand if you have it. Or there are red oaks yet this time of year that are holding their leaves really well here in the upper Midwest. If you can find those trees in the locations that you hunt, more power to you. You got to be concealed. You got to select your movements. You know, when is the right time? You want to wear quiet clothing, you know, clothing like I have on here. This Vooney camo that I have on provides excellent concealment as far as sound would go. I don't make a lot of sound. You know, you don't want like a canvas type jacket like a Carhartt or anything that is apt to make some noise as you're drawing your bow back. I can recall a situation here the other night when we were out muzzle loading with my little boy, my 7-year-old son, and it's my own fault not being prepared with him, but he was just wearing his normal everyday school jacket underneath his orange, and he just rubbed that just right, and those deer I think it was a doe and 2 fawns that were in, but that doe, she didn't hesitate. She was gone right now. Yeah, she was 80 yards away, but she heard just that slightest, and she was gone. And, you know, you got to take those extra precautions. You want clothing that's not going to make a lot of noise, and you got to conceal your movements as best as you can. That's why going into the late season, I prefer a box blind or a ground blind scenario. Again, located between food and bedding if I possibly can. Bedding or food areas, you know, like a food plot or standing cornfield, standing beans, great locations, but you want to be where those deer are coming out and going back in. Or if you have standing corn, you can create that little you can create sidewalks within that standing corn, and then a pocket, staging pocket within the corn by just simply driving it down, knocking it down, whatever you can, and then having that ground blind even in that standing corn, and blend it in really well with the surroundings as well. Tip number 3, just getting out there and being prepared for the cold weather. Again, I like to use my heater bodysuit if I can, but if I have to go with clothing, you know, this Vooney gear, it's great cold weather gear as well. I can't remember the line of it right offhand, but more great clothing, you know, Sitka, Kuiu, First Light, they make some great product as well. And you just want to stay warm. You want to have, my biggest concern though is my feet. My feet get the coldest because my feet sweat tremendously going in and out, and I want to make sure that I probably even have a couple pair of dry wool socks in my pack, so when I get to my stand I can quick change socks out and have warm feet. Going the extra mile, throwing some hand warmers down my boots, keep my toes warm and everything else, because there's nothing worse than cold feet. As long as my core is warm, I'm fine, but then when it comes to my feet, I still have yet to find a good pair of boots that are lightweight, that I don't have to carry in an extra pair of boots in my backpack. I want to go in as lightweight as possible, because the worst thing that you can do this time of year, especially when you start getting into cold weather, sub-zero hunting, I don't want to sweat going in. I want clothes that breathe. I'm going to dress in layers. If I have to pack some clothes, lightweight clothing into my backpack, I can do that. Put the rest of my clothing on once I get in my stand location, be it a tree stand, a ground blind, or a box blind as well. But I don't want to have to be carrying in a heavy set of boots in my backpack to change out my boots or anything like that. So I'll throw in a couple extra pair of wool socks to get in and out. I love my heater bodysuit. Rolls up nice. Throw that on my back as well. Get in, get out. You know, people say they have a concern with the zipper, making too much movement and stuff, getting in and out of the heater bodysuit. You know, it's practice. It's experience and practice. The only way you get better is to continually practice. Practice doesn't make perfect. It only makes improvement, because you can always improve on your very best. And just over time, I've learned to take my time when a deer's coming in. Now, I know things can happen in a matter of seconds, but you learn to know when, you learn to know how to use the heater bodysuit properly, effectively, and without deer noticing you move or hearing the zipper unzip or anything like that. It takes practice. It's just like anything. It's like shooting your bow in cold weather, being prepared for those situations. These are just some of the tips that I wanted to share with you today. Hey, any of the products or tools you see me using in these videos, you can always find links in the description below. And hey guys, our consulting season is starting to fill up fast. We've got some dates available here yet in December before the end of the year. We're filling up for January and February. We're going to be heading into Illinois again this year. We're going to be heading into Kentucky come February. I'll be down in Kentucky for a minimum of 10 days. So hey, if you're in the Kentucky area, you need some consulting done, or you just want to talk shop, get a hold of me. I'll be in the area. I'll be working in the Nicholasville area for the first week, and then I'll be around. So I'll be in Kentucky that first part of February, If I need to spend more time because you guys have reached out and booked a consultation, I'll be available for that. But I thank each and every one of you throughout the country that are following me here on social media, especially here on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already and you're new to my channel here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification. Give this video a like if you found it helpful. Share it with your friends. Hopefully it can help them as well. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you all. God bless you. Keep living the dream.